my name is Tish Palmadesi. I'm your moderator for today, kind of the circus leader, if you will, of everything that we're going to be juggling today. Our topic is wild foods and the holidays, how to use fish, game, and foraged item for holiday meals and more. Again, we're so happy that you're with us. I'm a marketing specialist for CDFW, and part of my role is being part of the Recruit, Retain, Reactivate team. The R3 team is what we call ourselves. And these Harvest Huddle Hours, H3s, are a virtual program that we put together to use to connect with people from all across this state and really offer resources to build your confidence and get you, our huddlers, more comfortable with just the activity that you're most interested in and just getting outdoors and enjoying the resources that California has. Speaking of what we're most interested in, we're going to go to our chat and see, Santa Barbara, excited about Christmas. Kristen from Redlands, California, favorite holiday is Christmas. And then also Sacramento, hello to everyone. We're finally getting you guys to work with us in the chat. So thank you for being here today. Again, we are going to be talking about wild foods and the holidays, how to use fish, game, and foraged item for holiday meals and more. And so what we've done, we're going to break this down for you how today's going to work. We brought back some of your favorite panelists from 2021 to present on wild foods and the holidays. And before I introduce them, I want to remind everyone that all of our Recruit, Retain, Reactivate, Harvest Huddle Hours, R3H3s, are recorded, including this one. So if you hear something you like and you want to share it with someone, this episode will be available on our department's R3 webpage within a few days. The webpage is wildlife.ca.gov/R3. You're going to scroll down to the California Wild Kitchen tab, and you'll see links for all of our past Harvest Huddle Hours. All right. So some real quick housekeeping before we get started. If you're new to the Zoom webinar platform, I say this at the beginning of every huddle, but today it's going to be important because we're going to have some presenters where this is going to be an important factor, but we'll remind you as we go. So you can change the way your screen looks by clicking the top right icons. There are two views, gallery and presenter. Feel free to play around with that right now. What you select isn't going to change how anyone else's screen looks, so don't worry about that. But however you want your screen to look for right now, go ahead and do that. And then when it's best to use the presenter or speaker mode, I will tell you to do that, prompt you to do that, and you'll see. It's a real treat. So for today's presentation, we're going to do things a little different. We're going to do this real family holiday tradition where we're all just talking and not cutting each other off, but just enjoying the conversation and being a part of it. So we want you to chime in as much as possible today. We're not going to wait until the end like we usually do. How today will work, we're going to be monitoring the chat and the Q&A, and we want you to give comments, criticisms, commentary, whatever you got. We want to hear it. So just let it fly. If you think something looks good, something looks bad, something looks ugly, let's talk about it. And again, you can use the Q&A and chat. We're going to be monitoring both today. We just want to hear from you. So if for some reason you have a question and it's kind of outside of what we're doing today, then you can go ahead and use that email address that I popped in the chat earlier. That's at R3 statewide program at wildlife.ca.gov. You can email us anytime and we'll get back to you. All right, now the moment we've all been waiting for, right? This is our presenter list for today. Backed by popular demand by me is Jen Benedict. She is the acting R3 coordinator for California and is the full-time assistant deputy director of CDFW's Office of Communication, Education, and Outreach. She's an avid hunter, angler, gardener, somewhat forager, super archer. There's really nothing she can't do. She presented earlier in 2001 on steps to becoming a California hunter. She's back with us today. Thank you so much, Jen, for being here. Next up, we have Erin Ferguson. Erin just presented an R3H3 2 weeks ago on family fishing, how to introduce kids to fishing. She is a senior environmental scientist specialist in the CDFW fishery branch and works on the Central Valley Angler Survey. She's been on that project for 11 years, but has been with the department since 2005. Erin, thank you for being here. Joining Erin, Jen, and I, we have CDFW Public Information Officer Peter Tira. Peter presented back in September on how to get started in upland bird hunting. Peter is a third-generation California hunter and a very, very good cook, and we're so excited that he is joining us today. Peter, welcome. And last but not least, we welcome back Rick Travis from the California Rifle and Pistol Association. Rick is the Director of Development for CRPA, and he presented back in July and taught us the benefits of eating wild game and how to cook some delicious meals. and pair them with some delicious wines. So as you can see, we have some great presenters today. They were all asked back for a reason because they are just experts in their field and can really help us using fish and game and foraged items for our holiday meals. So you guys, thank you so much for being here. You guys want to turn your cameras on? We want to see you. We want to see our family, right? So same with how we want you guys all, our huddlers chatting with us in chat. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to kind of just all get through this together today, right, guys? Right. Okay. Well, I am actually going to present as well. So I'm going to get things started here. My family owns a bar and restaurant in Northern California. So when we do holidays, my husband and I are always tasked with bringing some festive drink, either a cocktail or a mocktail, because we like the whole family to be involved when we're cheersing and our merriment. So we're going to start today with a mocktail cocktail hour with me. And so I wanted to do things that were in season, things that I could go and take from my own yard or my neighbor's yard, asking first, of course. So I did a pomegranate mint and citrus fizz with a pine garnish. And the pomegranates came from my neighbors. We grow my lemon, mint, and we have pine trees on our property. So I just went and picked some of those. Now the mocktail version, you could just use soda water. The cocktail version, I like to use tonic and gin, but my husband prefers soda water and vodka. So however you want to do it. But again, this could be a mocktail or a cocktail. So again, ingredients: pomegranate, fresh mint, lemon, soda water, tonic, freshly foraged pine, optional gin or vodka if you're like my husband. Okay. So the directions are really easy. Once you have all of your ingredients, I have a little video that's kind of just walk us through this. You're going to cut the lemon into fourths and get all the seeds out, or as many seeds out as you can. I know it's kind of hard to get all of them out sometimes. Wash and prep the mint. And I really like to slap that mint to really release the minty oils there. And then you're just going to place about 10 to 15 pomegranate seeds and 5 mint leaves, however minty you want it, into a glass, muddle it all up, and then squeeze one of the lemon wedges into a glass and use a muddler. And I really love Meyer lemons, so I just threw the whole darn lemon wedge in there and muddled it some more to just give it a little bit more of a citrus flavor. From there, really easy. You just fill the glass up with ice, and then get your pine, clean and dry it, because you just picked it. So who knows what's been on it, but you want to clean that up real good, dry it. And then you're going to just, if it's the mocktail version, fill with soda water, throw in the pine, more pomegranate. Jen mentioned maybe even throwing in some cranberries, because you can never have too many garnishes in a festive holiday drink, right? If you're going to do the cocktail version, you can do just 3/4 of the way with tonic or soda water, and then a half a shot of whatever. And voila, you got this really festive looking drink. So the one in this picture was a gin one. It was yesterday, but I did make a mocktail version for today, just real quick before we started. And it's just, everything complements each other. It's delicious. So
pretty. It's so pretty, Tish.
I put it in a wine glass because I wanted a big one.
I love it.
Yes. So now that we have, my video's going again, now that we have a drink to get us started, I always need a little bit of oomph to start decorating. So we're going to hand it over to Jen, and she's going to do some easy holiday, fall or winter decor. And this is where we're going to want to go to the top right of our screen. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that Jen has full control here. This is where you're going to want to go to that presenter or gallery view and go to presenter so that you can see everything that Jen is about to walk you through.
Okay. So thanks for having me, Tish. I am going to switch off of the screen you see me on and switch over to my phone so I can kind of walk people around. I actually set my table for 2 different seasons, and I'm going to show them to you. So you're not going to be seeing me, but you're going to hear my voice, and I'll be able to hear all of you. So let me know if you can't hear me or something, because I'm not going to be able to see you, because I'm going to get up and walk away from my computer. Okay, so I'm going to start with fall. So I try to focus a lot on foraged items and things that are left over from my hunts. So I'll zoom in so you can see all the details and elements, but this is a very simple fall table setting. You can do your whole table like this. Of course, I only did it for one setting, but you'll have to use your imagination to see the entire table set up like this. So first of all, I want to just let everyone know all of the dishes I'm going to show you today came from the thrift shop. I went yesterday and literally bought all of these things for less than $1 each. Really cool way to add a lot of drama to your tables is having different settings, different dishes for each person that all just sort of match in color or color, scheme. So I'm just going to zoom in. If you can't see these things, let me know. So this little napkin ring is a really simple craft you can do with the kids in your life or just on your own because it's fun. It is an acorn from just outside my front door and some just some leaves that I picked off some random bushes at my house and hot glue. The ring itself is actually a toilet paper roller, just painted. So super cheap. In fact, the only thing that cost me money is the paint and the hot glue. So super fun to do with the kids. Moving in on to name cards, same thing. It's a toilet paper roller, just cut with a slice in the top, a recycled name card here that I just wrote with a pen and I glued some pheasant feathers to it. And then super cute little way to mark place settings. And nobody will ever know it's toilet paper roller. So moving on, this little centerpiece is pheasant feathers. You could use turkey feathers or any really long feathers that you have on hand from birds that you've hunted. The bottom is lentils and acorns, but you could really use any dried goods that you have in your pantry, beans or popcorn kernels, etc. You can fill it with some colorful leaves if you wanted to for some variety. And then I like to always fill up the glasses with something fun. I use acorns here. And then the coasters are made from hide. This is cow hide, cow leather, but you could use hide from anything. It's really great to ask your taxidermist for leftover hide scraps and you can turn them into all sorts of fun things. Same idea here. These are turkey feathers in a basket that I had with some acorns in the bottom to weight it down and some random leafy things from outside. And then I have eucalyptus on the table that I picked from a eucalyptus tree that I have out in my backyard. So super easy, nearly free fall. And you could use this for any fall holiday really, or gathering.
And you're giving us something to use our toilet paper rolls for, because after 2020, we all have a lot of toilet paper, right?
I mean, you could use a napkin ring that you have too. You know, you could probably find those at the thrift store as well.
No, I love it.
The dump. But you know, most of these things can go right into the compost pile. You know, depending on what kind of paint you're using. When you're done with it, it can all just go to the compost pile and be done. If you're not going to upcycle things again. So I'm going to move on. This is winter. So this is just a serving idea for a serving tray. Literally all I did was take a tea towel and I had a cutting board. I put the cutting board on top and I just decorated it with some greenery from around my property. I added some dried cinnamon sticks, some frozen cranberries. These are dried citrus slices. I dried them myself last year to make a garland around our fireplace, but you can actually purchase pre-dried citrus if you wanted to add these elements. These are cuties that I cut and dried in my dehydrator as well. But again, you can, Trader Joe's and some of these other health food stores carry dried citrus in a package that you can use for drink garnishes and things. This is jam that's made from ground cherries. And a lot of times you can find wild ground cherries growing. They're super high in pectin. And so you don't even need to use pectin with them if you decide you want to try to make a jam with them. You can also buy them and grow them in your garden, but they're invasive. So just grower beware. And this is rosemary from my garden, which looks similar to pine and adds a festive flair. So super easy. Again, very festive and pretty.
Hey, Jen,
Yeah.
how long did you have to dry like the cuties when you were doing it?
Yeah. So So sliced citrus like this dries relatively fast, and it actually becomes like stained glass. Like it's pretty. It saves a really long time. I just store them in a big mason jar in my pantry, and then I have them on hand all year long in the, non-citrusy months. Cuties though are a little trickier because there's a lot of moisture in them. So that's why you see how I've sliced them. I
Right.
slice them trying to avoid going all the way through the center on either end. And I actually give them a little squeeze into a glass and use the juice for, cocktail or something, and try to get a lot of moisture out before I dehydrate them. I did these ones in the oven instead of the dehydrator because it works a little faster. My oven happens to have a dehydrator setting on it, but you don't need anything fancy. You can leave the door cracked, put them on a cookie sheet with parchment paper, and set your oven on the lowest setting. And I think it probably took about 30 hours. So, I mean, it takes a while. And they also, if they're high sugar content, you see the shininess. That's like the sugar. It's actually a little sticky. If you're going to just use them for decorations, you can actually spray them with lacquer at that point, and then they'll save year after year. If you want to use them in drinks, which I do, like this, I'll put the whole thing in the bottom of a mug and fill it with hot water and cinnamon stick and make like a tea with it, for the kids or sometimes for me. And then sometimes I'll even take trimmings off my tree to make it very Christmassy. But yeah, it takes a while to do these, but they're so pretty, and you can string them on a garland, which looks really great.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this is the little Christmas or winter themed setting that I did. If you put a white tablecloth or a gray tablecloth underneath it, it gives it a little more drama. I didn't do that just for the sake of today, but I heard a lot of people in chat super into Christmas, which is awesome. My family and I, we celebrate winter solstice. And so that's the night that we typically string our garlands of fresh and dried, produce and pine cones and all sorts of things. And we always hang it by our fireplace, which typically is very festive. It's fun. We do it all by candlelight and stuff. And so to celebrate the darkness of winter and the, long nights, I like to decorate my table in darker colors, which is not quite as common at, for Christmas celebrations. But so this is a winter table setting. If you notice, I have pintail feathers here in the cup. I like to fill a cup full of things. And then there's some pheasant feathers in the bottom. If you're going to use feathers in this way, I recommend washing them first. Nobody wants to drink dried up bird bits stuck to the bottom of the feather. These napkin rings took me 2 seconds to make. Again, it's like the coaster. They're just scraps of hide. This happens to be aoudad hide, but you could use deer hide. You can really use any kind of leftover hide that you can find. If you use a taxidermist, ask your taxidermist for scraps. And all this is I cut a strip. I didn't use a ruler or anything. I just cut a strip and made a circle, and I hot glued it together. That's it. Very simple. And you can add other elements to it. You could glue a cinnamon stick or a pine cone or an acorn or whatever it is, to make it appropriate for the type of holiday you're celebrating. You can also shift the colors of the plates under it if you were celebrating Hanukkah or Kwanzaa or, any other sort of winter holidays. These plates, again, came from the thrift store. I just paired them together to be, in the same sort of color palette. And then let's talk about fur for a second. So this is obviously not something that you all would probably find in California to take. So I got this from a friend who's a federal trapper. This is a silver fox, but rabbit is plentiful here, and you can hunt them legally, and they taste delicious and make a great holiday fare. But their fur also makes amazing table displays. So in the spirit of using the whole animal, next time you go rabbit hunting, I suggest really caping it out and sending it to Golden State Tannery to get those furs tanned. They are beautiful for winter tables because of the color. And then you can serve wild rabbit as well. So these candle holders are super fun. They're just deer antlers. And if you can't tell by now, I'm a big fan of upcycling things. The parts of that the candle is stuck in came from an old candle holder at the thrift shop. I just took them off. I drilled holes in the antler and I screwed these things back in with a little bit of glue. That's it. Again, another 5-minute project. And if you aren't into thrift shopping, you can totally pick this stuff up at the craft store too. So easy peasy. All right. I think I'll be back with you guys in a minute.
Jen, I just love it. I love how you incorporate everything around you and the entire animal. I think it's just great. What about you guys? If you want to gift me some of those antler candle holders, you can do that also.
Oh, I realized I didn't share. Maybe when I come back on later, I'll pop over to my fireplace. Tish, the antler comment reminded me of the fireplace display.
Do it now, girl. Take us over there.
Are you sure? I feel like
Yeah.
I've taken up time already.
You
Okay.
can take us around your whole house if you want to.
Okay, so I'm just gonna pop on my camera one more time. Oh, get my finger out of the way. So this is my fireplace mantle. This is not something I decorated for today. It's just something that I have already had decorated for the whole, for the fall. So for the harvest
This is what I meant by at the big, when I was introducing Jen, that she's just like amazing. That's just how her house is decorated.
Usually, not always, but usually. I appreciate that, Tish. So honestly, like a lot of people collect their antlers from their hunting adventures. I just put mine in this old copper pot. But around the holidays, different times of the year, I decorate it differently. In spring, I decorate it with greenery. The fall, I try to make it more harvesty. But just simply putting things in a big pile, putting antlers in a big pile can be pretty festive, and then I have antlers tied into the top too. And, these are just artificial fall leaves and things. I mean, they're not, well, this one's real, but the rest of them are artificial. So, you don't have to be super fancy and take hours and hours to craft these types of things. It can be as simple as putting stuff in a big pile and forgetting about it and then being like, oh, I can add some sunflowers to it and make it look festive.
You
Add
can even
some
like
lights
hang
and you got a party.
ornaments or something off of the antlers too. I would
Right,
think,
for Christmas.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
usually I put like a Santa hat on them or something like that. My taxidermy at Christmas time almost always has some kind of Santa hat or string light necklace or something on them around our house. And the kids always think that's super funny. So, but we celebrate all kinds of holidays in our house. I know we're a little Christmas centric right now because the audience is interested in Christmas, but I want to just, make sure that everybody realizes these things can be used all year long, not just in winter holidays.
Right.
Valentine's Day, I put matching antlers together with a big heart thing in the middle of them. Like you can literally decorate for just about any holiday using natural elements. Okay, bye.
Very cool. Okay. Well, unfortunately, I have to follow that. I'm going to restart our slideshow. So this year we had a couple of instances where our R3H3s almost broke our Zoom link. They had so many registered participants, and we thought we were going to have to purchase a new one. And those came from the Marine region. They're busy today and couldn't come and present themselves. So I told them that I wanted to have them represented because their talk on halibut and surf perch and crabbing and fishing from a jetty and a pier just were so popular. So we have a program manager, John Ugaritz, has a simple and fresh Baja ceviche recipe. And I actually made it last night. This is John on the left. And for those of you that are tuning in, I was wondering if that was the fish's tongue. And, I am a novice when it comes to marine fishing. So one of my fisheries people can chime in though. That's not its tongue, right?
Right, it's a swim bladder.
A swim bladder. It just looks really gnarly. But there's this is the before and after. So there's the before and the after is making it into ceviche possibly. So John has a whole bunch of ideas on different types of fish you can use that are native to California. He says he uses rockfish, but you can use halibut or kelp bass. I didn't have any of those in my house. I had some yellowtail that my brother had caught a couple months ago. So I used that and it still turned out delicious. But real simple, your half a pound to pound of fish, onion, cilantro, tomato, salt, cumin, ground cayenne pepper, and lime. Lime is important here because that's how it kind of cooks the fish. Basically, you're going to layer all those ingredients and really soak it with the lime, press it down so that the fish is, almost entirely covered by lime, and then let it sit. He says you can let it sit a couple hours. I let it sit overnight. That's what he said was best. And let me tell you, it is delicious. I have some here. I've been munching on it. I'm eating it with chips also, but it's so good. And, I went through that fairly quickly because we have a lot to get to, but don't worry because we're going to email you all of these recipes and our resource email after this event is all wrapped up. So although I went through it quickly, don't worry, we will send you John's delicious, simple Baja ceviche recipe. And we're going to stick with the fish theme here. And we're going to talk about some crappie tacos with Erin. And Erin, this stood out to me when you presented a couple weeks ago. You kind of just mentioned it. So I asked you to come back and present more on it because I loved how it came about that you even wanted to make crappie tacos. And a lot has to do with this little guy on the left here. So can you kind of tell us what inspired you and then walk us through the recipe real quick? And again, she'll probably go through it quickly, but we're going to email it to you. So don't worry.
Right. So this is my son, Sawyer. He is 7. We've been fishing with him since he was about 2 or 3. And usually we just catch and release fish. We really usually only harvest salmon, but, as he has gotten more into fishing, he's made the connection between food at home and where it's coming from. And so he went on a fishing trip with his dad and they were crappie fishing. And he was really keen on keeping his limit so that he could help provide for dinner that night. And so I have never eaten crappie before. And so, I searched for a fish taco recipe and I came across this one from Natasha's Kitchen. This is not my recipe. I adapted it from her. She's an influencer and a food blogger and everything. And I just really like everything that she does. You can go to there you go. And so this recipe is super easy. The whole thing takes less than an hour. The original recipe uses tilapia, but you could use it for any white fish. So striped bass, halibut, sturgeon would all be really good with this also. And so you just have to get some, okay. So
I can go back.
Yeah, go back really quick. And so you only need about a couple pounds of crappie. And so this is about 5 to 10, depending on the size. Some really basic seasonings that you have in your pantry. And then toppings such as cabbage, avocado, cilantro, and whatever cheese you like. I don't like cotija cheese. And so I changed it to shredded cheese just for us so that my kids would eat it. Okay, you can go ahead. Click on the next one.
Having technical difficulties moving now.
It's okay.
I think we're going to have to stop sharing.
Okay.
You
And
can
then
keep
so just
talking
on
about the tacos though. See what happened? I
Yeah.
took a little break to have a bite of ceviche. That's what happened.
Yeah, and so then there's just a sauce that goes on top. It's, mayonnaise and sour cream and lime. And then you just bake the fish in the oven. So that makes it even easier than having to fire up your grill. You can prep all of the toppings while it's baking and then just throw it together with the sauce on top. And it's just really good. Never had crappie, but it was pretty good.
Erin, I have a question for you.
Sure.
Do you just clean the crappie? Do you fillet the crappie? How do you get the crappie ready for the recipe?
Sure. Yeah, you have to fillet it. And so that's what I was saying, depending on the size of the original fish, it could take 5 to 10 fish to make this recipe. Yeah, that's a good question. You do have to clean it and then fillet it out, skin off.
Erin, I think you have a little typo on your recipe there. It says
Uh-oh.
Tapatio, Tabasco, and Cholula. I'm pretty sure Tabasco and Cholula should be crossed out. It's only Tapatio. Yeah.
Actually,
That's
the
my-
original recipe had sriracha, and I didn't like it that way, and so I had Cholula, Cholula.
You
so-
mean Tapatio, right?
Well, I didn't have
Jen,
Tapatio. Normally I
made
would.
this.
I was
Yeah,
trying something
I'm
new.
the one that put in the Tapatio. Sorry.
Oh, no, Tapatio.
No, that's what
my
she
game right
wants.
there. It's a very, being from SoCal, like Tapatio, there's like hot sauce wars,
Oh, yeah. Oh, it looks like we got someone commenting on the sauce there in the chat.
Secret aardvark sauce. I'll try it.
UCI, that would be their mascot.
Ooh, okay. I'm addicted to hot sauce, so I'll try it. All right, so moving from fish to land and sky, maybe sky, upland bird. Turkeys don't fly too high, right?
They can fly pretty good.
Yeah.
Okay. I've only seen him try to jump my fence getting away from my dogs. So this is another before. We're gonna have Peter's piccata recipe coming up with upland bird. So Peter, tell us about these photos here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I hope this is timely for you all. Tomorrow, Saturday, November 13th, is opening day for wild pheasant season, the fall wild turkey season, the second dove season. We already have quail and duck and goose all going on. So it's a great time to be an upland bird hunter. And
Would all of those work for this recipe, Peter?
no, they don't. This is so
Okay.
the upland bird piccata is best with the lighter upland birds.
Okay.
So pheasant, grouse, wild turkey, but you don't want to use it on like say dove or duck, kind of the darker meated birds. So even works with chicken if you have chicken breast. If you have chicken breast in your refrigerator, you're not doing enough hunting. So these are my two kids after a pheasant hunt and after a turkey hunt. And it's interesting with children, you take them out, you take them fishing, you take them hunting, you expose them, and they kind of struggle. Or once in a while they catch some fish, but then they turn into teenagers and they start getting like really proficient, and then you end up with like way more fish and way more wild game than you know what to do with. So you go looking for recipes. So upland bird piccata is a favorite in our family. This particular version comes from Hank Shaw, who is a Sacramento-based food blogger and cookbook author. This website's free on his website, honestfood.net. And Hank has brought a lot of people to hunting who are specifically interested in the food aspect and wild game. So this is a real family favorite. It's quick and easy and fast, and it's a crowd pleaser. And
we're gonna have the link to
good.
this in the email that we send too. So
you
going
can
through
use
it,
it, right?
yeah.
You can use it for holidays. I use it even during the week because it's so quick. You only need a half dozen ingredients, all pretty basic: olive oil, butter, salt and pepper, lemon juice, capers, some parsley, white wine. So doesn't require some elaborate shopping. It comes together quickly, so you want to have all your ingredients ready to go and portioned out before you even start cooking. Okay, so because it only takes a few minutes really to have this all come together. And the trick, one of the keys, is to have your breasts. It's great with breast meat, skinless, and you want to pound your breasts. Okay, you want to get them tender and thin if you can. Even I've used it for like game farm pheasants, right, from a pheasant club, and you would think they would be tender, but they still need pounding. So you really want to pound it out. Piccata originally was a old kind of a Italian American dish that they use with veal, right, and veal cutlets, which are super thin. So you want to get that meat thin and pound it out and get it tender. Then you just simply saute your breasts pretty simply. It only takes 2 or 3 minutes on each side. And you'll probably want to do it in batches depending on how many breasts you have. And you'll just set those aside. And when you kind of have all your breasts cooked, you'll finish up with the sauce. And that's simply just adding some white wine, some lemon juice, stirring it around with all the bits of pheasant or turkey or whatever you have. And you'll add some butter, kind of emulsify it along with the capers, and just keep stirring it. And then once that's ready, pretty quickly, you'll just pour it. You'll have your serving dish or whatever, and just pour your sauce on top. And it's again, it's real simple. It's a crowd pleaser. You'll want some good sourdough French bread or something to
Ooh,
salute
yeah.
the sauce afterwards. And again, it works great with wild turkey, pheasant, wild birds, and also any club birds. If you go on a CDFW apprentice pheasant hunt or something like that. Again, even chicken. So that is upland bird piccata in a nutshell.
I went to the Hank Shaw website to get the actual recipe for my own recipe stash. And I loved he had what wines it pairs well with. And we just saw someone in the chat liking that recommendation. So that was from Hank Shaw. He says it pairs well with a Chenin Blanc or a Pinot Gris. Peter, is that what you pair it with?
So yes, that's a great call. The Pinot Grigio's a favorite of mine, and you can even use it for, cooking, and then what you have left over, you can
always
enjoy
for cooking.
enjoy afterwards, for sure.
Very cool. Well, thank you. And Jen, I think already said it, but you definitely have to make this for us when we're together again as an
Okay.
office.
Sounds good.
Looks delicious. Now that we're all salivating, we're gonna turn it over to Rick Travis, and we're gonna go back to the tacos. We know we have lots of tacos and ceviche, but they're delicious, right?
California.
Well,
Yeah.
during the holidays, people are so busy. Like, I think we forget, there's these big holiday meals, but what about all of the days in between?
Yes.
When you're running around and prepping or having casual friends over for, the night before and our festivities. Like, food brings people together, but it also doesn't have to consume your entire day,
Exactly.
to prep for it.
And Rick, these just look delicious. So we kind of, we might have used photos from, those were actually Peter's photos as well, but Rick's using all of his own photos for his slides because he takes photos of his food because it looks so delicious. So Rick, I love the story behind how you came about this recipe too. So can you kind of share that, and then kind of your recipe is a little more in depth than everyone else's, but again, we're going to email it to everyone. So if he doesn't go through every single ingredient and every single step, don't worry, we're going to email all of that to you.
Well, so I'm piggybacking on a couple of items. One of the things that Jen said, and I know her and I've talked about this before, but one of the beauties of growing up in California, and especially down here in Southern California where I live, is we have such diversity of culture and foods that we're really spoiled, and you don't realize it till you go hunting and traveling in other parts of the country, and what they call the different types of foods that we're so free about, they don't taste quite the same. And we have an extended family because my wife and I have done a lot of things in the community with a lot of different youth. We have 3 kids who grew up and they're not all out of the house, but during the holidays, this time of the year, we end up with usually about 8 sons, even though we only had 2 ourselves, and about 6 daughters, even though we have 1. And they come from various cultures. They just grew up in our house and hung out here. And so a lot of times, like Jen said, you're trying to do things for the holidays and you have the big meals, but there are a lot of small things. And so one of our traditions is during the holidays, we have Christmas wraps where, for the holidays, whether it's for a Kwanzaa activity or some other activity tied to a culture that come. And tacos are an easy way to do something that's festive, unique, and brings cultures together. And one of the people that I've got to hang out, and never got to meet Hank Shaw, that's on my to-do list, but I've got to meet Roy Choi, who does, he's famous for what's called the bulgogi taco truck, where he fused Korean food with Mexican food. And that's where the passion for this came. I have 3 of that extended family that are Vietnamese. And so I got to have what they called shaking tacos, which this recipe was. And then we got to talk about venison, and they thought they were really smart and said, well, venison's just deer. And I'm like, no, venison is not just deer. It's moose, it's elk. Venison covers a wide range of big game, and their heads just kind of exploded. And so what I've done is I try to have them guess which type of venison I use in these tacos. Obviously, I use a lot of different things. So you can use, if you don't have access to game meat, you can use beef with this. But this is an amazing taco in that I call it a food festival in your mouth, because you do have some of the things in here that have more of the the tart, along with the sweet, along with the heat from the sriracha that are all mixing together. And for those of you who've never used like Vietnamese fish sauce, it is an amazing condiment and ingredient that can really make a lot of things pop. So, but like Peter said earlier, could you use wild duck meat as a substitute? Yes, of course you can with this. So that was a great thing from Kristen. One of the things that like Peter was saying is you do want to assemble all this stuff because once you start this process, it moves fairly quick. But actually it doesn't take that much time, you know, once you got it all laid out. And is always a crowd pleaser. This was actually taken in my backyard. And we did these the day after the 4th of July, big deal where I roast a wild pig for the entire block. And so we were picking up, and so I pulled these together. And so the back end of when I ran out of some of the venison meat I put out, we used some pulled pork from the day before. So that's how we finished it out.
And it seems like a recipe, like once you get all of the ingredients together once for that initial time, you're not going to use all of them. So you then have it. So it's easier to kind of make them the next time too.
Yeah. And, you know, one of the things that I recommend, I do this all the time, is I usually double the meat part because you always end up with leftovers of all the other stuff. And then it's just pull out some spare tortillas. Other things I'll do is down here, I have access to, like we do in a lot of California, blue corn tortillas. Sometimes you can find red corn tortillas. And so you can also add to the holiday colors. So obviously during the 4th, I did red, white, and blue. But you know, during the holidays, you can do red and white, or for Hanukkah, blue and white. I've done that. There's a family down the street that's Hebrew. And so I've done this for them a couple times in the past. So it works out really well.
Very cool. And again, we kind of just, he's not going to go through exact detail, but we will send you the recipe where he tells a little backstory about how these came about and really walks you through enjoying the fusion of the cultures. And it's great. So thank you, Rick, for coming back and presenting. So
but by the way, there is one thing I will add, because I always do the wine pairings.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can't end without a wine pairing.
So Pinot Noir, if it's not a peppery one, works really, really well with this, unless you're going to the poultry. And then I would agree with Peter, like a Pinot Grigio works well as well.
Very cool. Thank you. All right. So now we're going to go back to Jen. We're going to end our huddle with holiday gifts with Jen. And so this is going to be another time where it would be best to go up to the right-hand side of our screen and go to switch type of view if you've
I don't think you
out.
have to. I'm going to stay on my computer.
Okay. I'm going to stop
Maybe.
sharing so we can see you.
I mean, maybe you can go up if I'm too small, if the box is too small, like Tish said, you can shift your view over to speaker view, but I probably might be okay. Depends on what you're looking at. If you're on a phone, definitely, but if you're at a computer, probably is okay. All right, so I'm going to be reaching. So sorry for the weirdness if I'm off and on camera. I'm going to try my best to get things in the right angle in this little box of Hollywood squares. So the first thing I have to show you is a great gift all year long. We like to use these for wedding gifts especially, but they're great holiday gifts too. It requires a little woodworking skill. And so it's a box. You put anything you want in it, but this one happens to be a wine box. If you don't have good woodworking skills, you can go to a craft store and buy a pre-made box and just take a piece of antler and some casings and bedazzle the heck out of it. I don't know. So this is just a wine box filled with some recycled paper, a little wine. It makes a great homemade gift, and then you can use it as a keepsake box after. There's a clasp on the end of this one, but you could put whatever you want on it. And then you can personalize it with a little wood burner. You can write someone's name. You can,
you made that box too?
Yeah, well, my husband made this.
Okay.
This is his thing. This is not my thing. This is my husband's a carpenter by trade. So he's into making projects with scrap stuff instead of throwing away.
I love it.
These are just like scrap wood pieces that was probably left over from a job. So, but yeah,
Very cool. I liked how
you
you mentioned that for those of us that wouldn't even know where to start making that box, we could just go to the craft store.
Yeah, and so to attach things though, from the craft store box or from homemade box, literally it's just a screw. So the antler, I don't know if I can show you this without dumping the wine out. So
Yeah,
okay.
don't dump the wine out.
Right. See this screw right here?
Yeah.
So this is just a hole drilled through the wood, and this is how the casings are put in, and then they're just glued in. And then this is just a screw. Pre-drill the hole on an antler first, and then just screw up through the bottom of the box, through the antler to secure it, and that's it, literally. It's not super easy to drill through, but it's not hard either. Once you get the hole started, it's much easier. I guess for the earring and jewelry wearers in your life, I don't know if anyone noticed, but I have these on right now. This is from a mallard's butt. They're the little tail feathers. But they make great earrings and necklaces. They have a little green sheen, purpley
Girls
sheen
for
to
the
them.
girls, yes, earrings.
Yeah, so they're kind of fun. You can make, even honestly, you can take this and make little like hair
Oh.
things for the holidays and put them on a headband, and get fun with the feathers. Like it doesn't have to be from the same bird. It can be mixed bird, jewelry. Literally so easy. You don't need to be a jeweler for it. You can buy all of.
Is that just wire wrapped around those feathers?
No, so this is just a jewelry fitting. You
Okay.
can buy all kinds of different jewelry fittings of different shapes and sizes at the craft store they come like 20 in a package for like $3. Unless you want to buy real, metal like gold and silver, then of course it's more expensive, but they come in all different options. And you can literally make like probably 20 of these for under $10, and give them to people. Same thing with the earrings.
My kids are in high school and starting to go to dances. That reminded me of a really cute boutonniere or something.
Yeah,
we put pheasant feathers in our boutonnieres at our wedding.
Nice.
I love that.
Yeah.
I have never thought of it, but my son loves hunting, so that would be like perfect for him. And then it does not like a flower and dies. He could save it.
You for my baby shower, we actually did
Oh.
name tags with feathers. So we did the little name tag on a Cricut machine, but you could just hand letter it. You don't need a fancy machine. We glued a piece of ribbon behind the name tag onto another piece of cardstock, and then just adorned them with, random duck and pheasant feathers that I had in a bag. But anyway, this is another example of one of the jewelry fittings. You can also probably make a little bow tie. You can find similar fittings to make, bow ties and stuff. This is a necklace, but you get the idea. You just need a pair of pliers. You can buy all of the fittings at a jewelry store and I use glue. I just glue everything in using super glue, and that's it.
That's so beautiful.
Very simple.
Did you say
very
you have
fast.
bags of feathers?
Oh my gosh, I have so many bags of feathers. So this is
Like legit
stuff.
just bags of feathers in your house.
Totally. So when we talk about feather care, I'll give you a little words of wisdom. If you're going to be wearing feathers, or putting them on things where you're going to eat, make sure you wash them well in advance. It takes a while to dry and get, prepped to use. And sometimes when you wash them, it'll lose their natural oils. And so you'll see some separation occur sometimes in the feathers, and you'll see things like that, and if you like that look, great. But if you don't like that look and you want to help restore some of the oil to the feathers, you have a couple of options. The first one, if you're not grossed out by it, is to take your nose oil and just wipe on either side of your nose, put it on your fingers, and wipe back up the cuticle of the feather. And it will help put moisture back into the feather and put it back together. If that grosses you out, you can also use any lightweight oil.
Just don't go in your nose, then it's not gross.
You don't go in your nose. You can use
Outside.
any lightweight oil, and a very small amount on your hands, very small amount, like almost none. And you can do the same thing, and it'll help restore the oil to the feathers and maintain their sort of sheen and prettiness.
If you accidentally overdo it, could you just rewash them? Or
Yeah.
would it be hard to get it out? Okay.
Yeah, you can. And also if you get feathers that are like misshapen, like maybe they were in a bag too long and they bent, weird. As long as the cuticle of the feather is not actually bent with a crease in it, you can actually get them wet again and use a blow dryer on low heat and reshape them as well. If you want to save a turkey fan for a mount or something like that, you know, you can pin the feathers down in the shape you want and use a blow dryer to kind of, you know, work with the feathers a little bit. So I feel like I should also just mention, if people are wanting to wear feathers, I just be conscious of cultural appropriation and how you're using those feathers and where you're using those feathers. And, you know, I think that feathers are beautiful and it's an amazing way to honor animals. But also I think it's important just to be aware of cultural appropriation and how that shows up in our spaces for other people. More feathers though. I have more things on feathers. Okay, 2 more things for feathers. So I know a lot of people said they celebrate Christmas. So I'm assuming you all have Christmas trees. So these are dove feathers.
So pretty.
You know, I think dove feathers, they don't get featured very often because they are just gray, you know. But when you put them with the right colors, especially for sort of wintry times of year, gray is beautiful. So these are just little glittery balls that fell off of other decorations I had, and I just saved them and repurposed them here. So if anybody's going dove hunting, don't throw away those dove feathers. And then here's another example of another one. This is duck feathers.
That's
So you can
gorgeous.
use turkey, I mean, any kind of feathers. Get creative with the feathers. And then
Those would definitely make good gifts. So everything so far would make great gifts, but ornaments are great.
Totally, yeah. And I'm not including instructions on this. I feel like most of these things are pretty basic. It's literally just hot glue. I just hot glued everything on a blank ornament. You know, you can't mess it up, and you can get your kids involved.
Or even just inspiring people to use the feather. You know, you can kind of just go from there. Yeah.
So I want to go back to the table setting. I talked a little bit about coasters. So these are all cowhide, but you could, again, talk to the taxidermist and find out where the rest of the leather and hides are from your mounts, especially if you're getting shoulder mounts. You know, you probably delivered more than just the front end of the animal hide to them. So ask them for it back. You paid for it. It's yours. So ask for it back. And then you can make all sorts of things like coasters out of deer hide or whatever, you know, whatever you're bringing to the taxidermist. Ask for the back end of the hide back.
So you just cut that. You didn't have to like treat it with anything to make it absorbent.
No.
How did you cut that so perfect? Did you like use a quilting square or something?
Definitely not perfect. So if you're going to give them as
pretty
gifts,
perfect from here.
You might spend some time making it perfect, but it's actually not. I cut them with a pair of scissors. I did not even like draw them out. They're really not perfect. They're just, it didn't matter. Like nobody's going to pick it up and be like, your square is out of square. You know, I don't think, I mean, my husband might because he's a carpenter, but most people wouldn't do that. So, you know, I just eyeball it. I mean, if you want to get that technical, you can, but to answer your question about absorbency, no, because these things have been tanned, I haven't done anything. And if you see, this one's been used a while, you can actually see the rings in it. I've had this set of coasters on our coffee table for probably like 6 years now. So I don't even condition it. There's 2 different types of tanning processes that are most commonly used. A soft tan gives you this pliable sort of leather that you can work with and sew and, you know, turn into other things. And then there's a hard tan that it's more like, stiff leather. It's like what saddles are made out of and things that need to keep their shape a little bit better. So it's not as pliable. They both work fine for coasters. Obviously this one's harder to cut through, but other than that, totally fine. They both work great. I really like the soft one because they don't skid across the table as easy. You know, it kind of has a little more grip on the bottom. So super easy and fun to do. You can cut them in all different shapes. You can let your kids, you know, have their imagination. If you're not going to use the back end of the animal after getting things back from the taxidermist, you know, this is a way not to waste it. And so I think it's
now, Jen, do you
fun.
think if you haven't dropped anything off at the taxidermist in a while, could you just call and see if they have scraps? And
Totally.
okay.
Yeah, you know, they may charge you for their tanning costs or something, a few bucks.
But you could get a lot of coasters out of a little
Right.
piece, it would seem like. Yeah.
Right, or napkin rings, or you know, you
Yeah.
can make all kinds of stuff with scraps. We literally will make like pot holders with it for the table when we're bringing a pot from the oven. It's a great heat resistance. You can use just flaps, like a square flap, to grab hot pots out of the oven. Just make sure the hide you're using doesn't have a lot of hair on it, or you're grabbing it hair side out. Otherwise, you have
Oh,
singed
yeah.
hair. That's not fun.
I just
So-
smelled that when you said it.
I see the time. I have just two more things I'll share quickly. This is probably not as common for people, but here's a more off the beaten path option for gifts. I like to bowfish a lot. And so one of the species that are kind of like people stick their nose up at is stingray. I actually don't mind eating stingray. You just have to cook it right. It needs to be soaked. You know, it's got a different flavor. It's high in uric acid, so it has like a little bit of a different flavor, but totally edible. But I also like to use their skin, and the tannery will take their skin as well, because I really enjoy making jewelry from their skin. So it looks like
Ooh,
tiny
that's shiny.
pearls. And instead of tossing it, you know, again, trying to use that whole animal. People make high heels and boots and all sorts of stuff out of stingray skin. But
Wow.
when you're bow fishing in California, you know, and you take the meat, also take the skin, send it to the tannery, make something cool. It's a great gift. Requires little sewing skills, and you actually have to have a industrial sewing machine to get through leather, or be willing to do it by hand, which is possible. But this is just, you know, sewn together because I have backed it with a different type of leather, but you don't have to. I mean, it's fine just with stingray leather, you know, without sewing, but you would still need to put the grommets in to put the snaps if you were gonna
Right.
make a bracelet. And you can buy the tool at the craft store. It's easy. It's just requires a hammer, and you make a hole and put it together. And I think the last thing, just back to the feather thing, is if you have a bunch of feathers laying around and you don't feel particularly crafty, you can grab them together, take a piece of floral wire, really any wire that you have, or even just super glue or hot glue, glue them together or wire them, put a clip on it, any kind of clip. You can use an alligator clip, you can use a clothespin, it doesn't matter, any kind of clip. And you can add these things to floral arrangements, potted plants, your tree, wreaths above signs, you know, and you have ready-made holiday decor or seasonal decor that you can add to almost anything in your house.
Yeah.
So you're not wasting feathers. Not that anybody would ever waste a pheasant feather, but you can use
No,
other feathers to do
gorgeous.
it too, like turkeys. So I think that's pretty much all I have for you today.
That was a lot.
Okay, good. I
You
tried.
kind of knocked that out of the park. So thank you.
I appreciate it. Oh, and Tish, I sent you those recipes too. So other holiday recipes.
Someone's asking if you have a Pinterest page, Jen.
I do, but not with any of this stuff. It's just like me saying other people's stuff.
That's awesome. Okay. And yeah, Jen is in the resource email that I'm going to send after this. She has a few more holiday recipes that she's also a great cook, but I wanted her to kind of show us around her house and all of the fun stuff, how she uses the whole animal. But she has some recipes that she's going to share with you too. Jen, what are they? I haven't looked at them yet.
That I shared with you.
Yeah.
I sent you my wild fowl and dumplings recipe, which uses upland game, lighter meats. I sent you my sage sausage dressing or stuffing recipe that can use any kind of dark meat breakfast sausage. Our house, we've been using a lot of wild, bear, because we shot a bear a while back, and it's just the gift that keeps on giving. I feel like it's so much meat. Wild blackberry pancakes, which is past the season, but next year when it's blackberry season.
We can add
And
them
I
to
don't
our
even
recipe
remember,
books.
and a fish trout recipe, I think, but I can't remember what it is.
Very cool. Well, we are right where we need to be. It's a little past 1. Thank you for everyone for hanging on with us. I know Jen had all of our attention just captivated
I'm
there.
sorry.
So no, I wasn't looking at the time. Glad you were, but thank you for joining us. Please consider joining us next year for our next round of R3H3s. We're in the planning stages now. So if you have an idea of a huddle that would be great for beginners and others to learn more about hunting, fishing, foraging, and shooting sports, please email us. The email address again is r3statewide@wildlife.ca.gov. Again, this session was recorded and it'll be up and available on our R3 page in the coming days. So if you want to circle back to something as the holidays get closer, we'll have that up for you and we'll link everything there. A huge thank you to Peter, Erin, Jen, Rick, and John for his ceviche recipe. I only got to sneak one bite before I accidentally shut down the slideshow. But thank you also to all of our huddlers who were with us today and for you taking the next steps to educate yourselves on becoming the best hunters, anglers, and foragers you can be. We hope you have a great day, wonderful weekend, and happy holidays. Bye.